Fantasy anime in 2026 is absolutely unhinged so far. New seasons, wild adaptations, surprise bangers, and shows that casually punch your feelings. Today, we're counting down the 15 must-watch fantasy anime dominating 2026 right now. Kicking off with number 15, Kunan the Sorcerer. Can see this one slides in quietly, then casually reminds you why low-hype fantasy shows can hit hardest. Kunan the Sorcerer can see leans heavy into perception, foresight, and the psychological burden of knowing too much. Kunan isn't flashy. He's the type of mage who survives because he understands outcomes before anyone else finishes their spell chant. And that makes every conversation tense, not just the fights. What really sells it is the restraint. No overpowered screaming matches every episode. Instead, it builds paranoia, consequences, and subtle dread. You're watching people smile at Kunan while he already knows how they'll betray him later. The pacing won't be for everyone, but if you like strategic fantasy with brainpower over brute force, this scratches that itch hard. It feels like Frieren met Death Note at a quiet tavern and decided to emotionally ruin you politely. Sliding to number 14, Daemons of the Shadow Realm. If you thought Hiromu Arakawa was done traumatizing fantasy fans, think again. Daemons of the Shadow Realm doubles down on moral gray zones, sibling trauma, and monsters that feel uncomfortably human. The power system is raw and ugly. No flashy sparkles, just blood, contracts, and consequences that don't magically disappear after one episode. The twins at the center carry the show hard, constantly questioning whether survival automatically makes you righteous. And let me tell you, this anime loves punching you right when you think things are stabilizing. Villains aren't evil for fun. They're desperate, bitter, and sometimes painfully correct. Visually, it's grounded but brutal, with fight choreography that feels heavy instead of stylish. This isn't a comfort watch fantasy. This is a sit there quietly after the episode ends fantasy. If you loved Full Metal Alchemist for its themes more than its explosions, you're already locked in. Landing on number 13, Dorohedoro. Yes, chaos is back, and somehow louder. The Dorohedoro Shin season wastes zero time reminding you that logic has no authority here. Sorcerers are still unhinged, the world is still disgusting in the best way, and every episode feels like a fever dream sponsored by dark humor. What makes this season special is how confident it is. It doesn't explain itself. It doesn't apologize. It just drops insanity on your screen and dares you to keep up. Character arcs get deeper, uglier, and weirdly emotional, especially when you least expect it from someone wearing a mask and committing war crimes before breakfast. The animation is smoother, the soundtrack still slaps, and the vibes remain unmatched. This is fantasy for people tired of clean power systems and heroic speeches. Dorohedoro says, "What if magic was disgusting?" and commits fully. If you're here, you already know. If you're not, welcome to madness. Looking at number 12, Easygoing Territory Defense by the Optimistic Lord. Don't let the title fool you. This isn't lazy fantasy fluff. It's kingdom building with heart, humor, and surprisingly smart strategy. Our main lord isn't some edgelord conqueror. He's genuinely optimistic, and that optimism becomes his most dangerous weapon. Instead of non-stop battles, the tension comes from logistics, diplomacy, and keeping people alive in a hostile world. Watching him outthink stronger enemies using morale, preparation, and trust is way more satisfying than another OP sword swing. And the side characters? Actually useful. Imagine that. The anime balances comedy with stakes really well. One episode you're laughing at absurd council meetings. The next you're watching hard decisions cost lives. It's refreshing fantasy that proves you don't need constant violence to stay engaging. If you liked That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, but wanted more grounded leadership and fewer power spikes, this one sneaks up on you hard. Rolling into number 11. An adventurer's daily grind at age 29. Finally, fantasy for people with back pain and responsibilities. This anime is painfully relatable if you've ever stared at your life and thought, so this is it, huh? Our protagonist isn't chasing glory. He's chasing rent money, functional gear, and a reason not to quit. The charm comes from how grounded everything feels. Quests aren't epic, they're exhausting. Monsters aren't cool, they're dangerous and annoying. And leveling up feels slow because, yeah, adulthood. But that realism gives the show heart. What elevates it is the quiet character moments, conversations around campfires, failed attempts at mentoring younger adventurers, the creeping fear of being left behind. It's funny without trying too hard and emotional without begging for tears. This anime won't blow your mind, but it might hit your soul if you've ever felt stuck. Low fantasy, high relatability, zero nonsense. Crashing into number 10, Witch Hat Atelier. This one is pure fantasy artistry. Witch Hat Atelier feels like stepping into a living storybook, with magic that's both beautiful and terrifying. The spell system is all about precision. Draw it wrong, and someone loses everything. No shortcuts. The story follows Coco, whose wonder slowly turns into responsibility as she learns magic isn't just fun, it's dangerous in careless hands. And the mentors? Complex, flawed, and occasionally terrifying. This anime understands that teaching magic means shaping morality too. Visually, it's ridiculous, in the best way. Backgrounds feel hand-painted, spell effects feel intimate instead of explosive, and silence is used as tension. This isn't battle fantasy, it's consequence fantasy. If you're tired of screaming protagonists and want something thoughtful, elegant, and quietly devastating, Witch Hat Atelier is one of 2026's strongest entries. It respects your intelligence and your emotions. Sliding down to number 9, Kill Tube. This anime is chaos distilled into pure internet-era insanity. KillTube throws fantasy, violence, and live stream culture into a blender and refuses to explain the mess. Everything is exaggerated. Powers, reactions, deaths, and egos. The satire hits hard. Characters fight for views, clout, and survival in a world where brutality equals popularity. And somehow, beneath the insanity, it asks uncomfortable questions about consumption and spectacle. Why are we watching? Why are they performing? It's not subtle, it's not clean, and it definitely isn't for everyone. But when it works, it works. The pacing is aggressive, the soundtrack is loud, and the visuals are intentionally overwhelming. This anime feels like doom scrolling, but with swords and curses. Love it or hate it, KillTube understands the modern fantasy audience better than most, and that makes it weirdly unforgettable. Landing hard at number 8, Black Clover second season. Asta is back, and louder than ever. But here's the thing, this season actually earns it. The story tightens, the power scaling makes sense, and the emotional beats finally land without screaming over them. The world feels bigger now, with political tension, long-term consequences, and villains who aren't just evil for fun. Magic battles are sharper, more strategic, and visually insane without losing clarity. And yes, character development actually happens. Wild concept, I know. What makes this season hit is confidence. Black Clover knows what it is and stops apologizing. It embraces shonen hype while delivering payoff for longtime fans. If you dropped it early, this season might change your mind. It's not reinventing fantasy, but it's executing it extremely well. Sometimes that's all you need. Checking in at number 7, Otomege Sekai wa Mob ni Kibishi, Sekai Desu 2. Season 2 doubles down on what made this series fun. Savage commentary, absurd social hierarchies, and a protagonist who refuses to play nice. Leon remains aggressively honest in a world built on fake nobility and performative romance. The fantasy politics are sharper, the comedy meaner, and the consequences heavier. What started as satire slowly becomes a genuine critique of power systems disguised as dating games. And somehow it still finds time to roast everyone involved. The action improves, the supporting cast steps up, and the world feels less like a gimmick and more like a lived-in nightmare. It's messy, but intentionally so. If you enjoy fantasy that punches tropes in the face while still delivering satisfying battles, this season absolutely delivers. Storming into number 6, The Barbarian's Bride. This anime refuses to follow romance fantasy rules, and that's why it works. The relationship here isn't cute, it's cultural collision. Strength, tradition, misunderstanding, and slow respect drive everything. The barbarian culture is portrayed seriously, not as a joke, and the female lead isn't just strong, she's layered, stubborn, and learning. Romance grows through shared survival, not blushing misunderstandings. Action scenes feel raw, and emotional moments land because they're earned. This isn't fast-burn fantasy love. It's gradual, awkward, and realistic within a brutal world. Surprisingly mature, occasionally funny, and emotionally grounded, The Barbarian's Bride stands out by refusing shortcuts. It respects both characters and the audience. Marching to number 5. The villainess is adored by the prince of the neighbor kingdom. Villainous anime are everywhere, but this one actually understands why people love the trope. Instead of shallow misunderstandings, it leans into emotional intelligence, communication, and genuine affection. The female lead isn't adored for breathing. She earns it through kindness, wit, and emotional maturity. And the prince? Actually competent. Revolutionary, I know. Fantasy politics, romance, and personal growth blend naturally without dragging. It's cozy without being boring, and heartfelt without being corny. If you're tired of villainous stories that reset every episode, this one commits to development. Comfort fantasy done right. Breaking into number 4. Clevites 2, Maju no O to Itsuwari no Yusha Densho. This sequel wastes no time reminding you that hero legends are usually lies. Power comes with cost, and survival isn't pretty. The darker tone hits harder this time, with moral compromises front and center. Characters evolve in uncomfortable ways, and victories feel hollow. The fantasy world expands while trust shrinks, making every alliance feel temporary. It's brutal, thoughtful, and unafraid to disappoint you on purpose. If you like fantasy that challenges hero worship, this one delivers hard. And it only gets heavier from here. Reaching number 3. Yusha no Kuzu. But trust me, number 3, it'll mess with your head in the best way possible. This anime flips heroism on its head and then grinds it into dust. The protagonist isn't noble. He's broken, selfish, and painfully human. The fantasy world doesn't reward good intentions. It exploits them. Every choice feels wrong, and that's the point. Dark, uncomfortable, and emotionally sharp, Yusha no Kuzu isn't here to make you feel good. It's here to make you think. Charging into number 2, Sekiro no Defeat, pure suffering, pure mastery. This adaptation understands Sekiro isn't about winning, it's about endurance. Combat is brutal, precise, and unforgiving. No power fantasy here. The anime captures the loneliness, repetition, and obsession of pushing forward despite failure. Visually stunning and emotionally exhausting, it's not for casual viewers, but for fans, it's incredible. Taking the crown at number 1, Black Torch earns the top spot by balancing raw action, emotional storytelling, and stylish supernatural fantasy. It's confident, sharp, and deeply character-driven. Every fight matters. Every bond counts. This anime knows exactly what it is and executes it flawlessly. Dark, hype, and unforgettable, Black Torch is fantasy done right in 2026. And that's the top 15 fantasy anime of 2026 so far. Wild, emotional, chaotic, and surprisingly deep. Drop your favorites in the comments, argue respectfully, hit like if this list surprised you, and subscribe for more anime chaos. Trust me, this year's only getting crazier from here.